Hello, everyone. Okay. I don't know how it ended up being Eugene's usufruct derivative notice process.
I got that from Christy.
Okay. I did not. Well, okay. I'm going to go with it. Okay. So it says Eugene's usufruct derivative notice process from the litigation committee of the Pennsylvania Assembly. And for those who have used the TSA paperwork process to declare, record, and publish your corrected political status, do your own research, gain your knowledge, and you will know what you're doing and who you are. Okay. Okay, this is shut up and don't read. Let's start with shut up. We have this comprehension of the perceived order of things. We believe through our experience that we are somehow wiser and more prepared. We adopt this idea of a proactive approach to our response to things and events. You have a plan A, a plan B, or even a plan C. Okay, now let's take all of that and put it into a box on the side. What part of shut up do you not comprehend? Silence. Not one word. What happened to me?
You're good.
They're muted.
Oh, I'm talking about slide 2.
That's slide 2.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, so now, on a critical note of information, when it comes to anything commercial, you can only make a claim or a lien. Right? What is your claim? Well, 1, a warrant for your arrest, or is that a warrant? 2, driving without a license, or a license. 3, possession of an unlicensed firearm. 4, felony possession of a controlled substance. 5, notice of eviction, a tax eviction, or a tax eviction. A writ, or a writ of possession. 6, third-party claim of debt, credit card, or mortgage debt. 7, child support or custody, orders or notice. 8, summary trial notice. 9, anything dumb they can think they can prosecute. Okay. These claims are served to you either by in person or by mail. If it's served to you in person, ask him or her, may I see the warrant or civil suit. Remember, claim or lien. You cannot lien, so you will counterclaim. You will write in red directly on top of the document served to you, and you will serve it back. Use for your initial claim or claim. In red, return service, void for fraud, in red. Impersonating multiple jurisdictions, in red. By John Doe Smith, in red. 25 December 24, in red. Or, if this is an ongoing case, you will use return service, void ab initio, which would mean void from inception, for impersonation, barratry, fraud, treason, in red. By John Doe Smith, in red. 25 December 2024, in red. Now, we want to go through what I want to explain what's going on here. The first one is for something that comes to you, say you have a driving without a license issue, and you didn't answer the ticket, and what they will do is then the court will send you a notice. Or anything like that. That's what you'll do, is you will use that return service in the initial to rebut the claim. And the second one is to rebut an ongoing claim. Okay. We can move down. Okay, so this one is about the same thing, but if they're going to serve this to you in the mail. Now you're going to return your service back to them in the mail. Okay, so the initial claim or claim, you're going to return service, void for fraud in red, impersonating multiple jurisdictions in red, by John Doe Smith in red, 25 December 2024 in red. Or, as again, for the ongoing case, return service, void ab initio in red, for void from inception, and that is because of impersonation, barratry, fraud, and treason in red, by John Doe Smith in red, 25 December 2024 in red. Okay. Next. Okay. You will send a notice of trespass, contract, and offer of remedy to the judge. Slide over a little bit. I can't see that.
Yeah, it's actually not sliding. Sorry.
Okay. I will see. What are we, number 7? We are at number 7. Okay. You will send a notice of trespass, contract, and offer of remedy to the judge. This letter will be RE to the docket number identifying your case. You will notice the judge of the felonies that he or she has committed. You will enter into the public record, RE, the docket number. Then you will enter your certificate of assumed name, mandatory notice of liability, a deed of reconveyance, and a fee schedule. By John Doe Smith in red, and return service, priority tracking with the number, CC to John Doe Smith, Mark Doe Smith, Joe Clark.
We can't see the whole picture.
Yeah, the slide didn't come out right. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
It's the same as the one from, so slide it back to the first one. And on number 5, Vicki. Okay, so it's the same thing.
Yeah, we have it later on also.
Yeah.
Here it is.
That's all it is. It's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. It's just that one that's in person and one you're going to serve it in mail, by mail. That's all it is. Okay. What we have here is basically that letter that we were talking about. Now, Joe Blow Clown is the actual judge. So what we're going to do is that we're going to address the judge in both of his persons and his jurisdictions. Now, as you see Joe Blow Clown in upper lowercase in 123-4 Your Joking Lane in Bensalem, Pennsylvania, 19020. And that would be Joe Blow Clown in the jurisdiction of the UCMJ. Then you say, or Joe Blow Clown, who is in the UCC in his all capital names, and you address him in his 1234 all caps Your Joking Lane in Bensalem, Pennsylvania. Which I don't know what happened there, but that should be in all caps, but somehow there's a typo there. Anyway, RE to the docket, MJ, and then so on, so on, so on, plus the citation, so on, so on, so on. Now, Joe Blow, who is the judge you're now addressing. Joe Blow, after reviewing the citation and summary trial notice, it has come to my attention that you, in both persons, and your court are misaddressing me and impersonating me. You and your court are attempting to revenue a usufruct derivative that you are not authorized to use. I own both copyright and trademark to the vessels John Doe Smith and John Doe Smith in all caps. This is fraud, theft, and criminal. Enclosed is a certificate of assumed name, mandatory notice of liability, a deed of reconveyance, and a fee schedule. Now, if you and your court wish to decline contract with both my vessels, I require a notice of withdrawal of charges and a refund of my collateral. Notice the agents is notice the principal. Notice the principal is notice the agents. Sincerely, by John Doe Smith, December 20th, 2024. John Doe Smith, all rights reserved, without prejudice. CC yourself and 4 other people, or 4 other living men or women. Okay. Next we got, so, any claim or claim against you is rendered rebutted and satisfied. So shut up. That also goes for you. Nobody cares what you did, because this has nothing to do with you. The more you talk, the more you present your ignorance. Why are you speaking about something that isn't you? Shut up. This is about the vessel, and the vessel. Now comes the concept of don't read. If you're reading what's in front of you, you are at the mercy of the author to comprehend what you are reading. Well, we are not reading. We're looking for a piece of a puzzle. When you open a jigsaw puzzle, what is the first thing you do? You flip all the pieces over to one side. What's next? We start looking for the edges. Now, think about what you are actually doing. What's more important? Getting all the pieces to the proper side, or identifying any piece with a straight edge? Now, I use this as an example to explain what I mean by don't read. When you're looking for fraud in a court or court document, you're looking for a puzzle piece. You find them, you identify the usufruct derivative along with the jurisdiction they're operating in. Well, we are going to identify all the straw men, which are in the UCMJ, and all the tin men, which are in the UCC. So please go get any old or current court documents. And we're going to take a look at some of these things. Anything printed on any court document in upper and lowercase is British Territorial Admiralty Law, UCMJ. Defendant, plaintiff, resident, respondent, taxpayer, county, state, and court, all in upper and lower case to include the judge. Anything printed on any court document in all caps is Roman Municipal Maritime Law, UCC. Defendant, plaintiff, resident, respondent, taxpayer, county, state, and court, all names in all caps to include the judge. The easiest way to do this is to get 2 different colored markers. Anything identified in uppercase, UCMJ. Orange, anything identified in all caps, UCC. You will go through line by line and find the straight edges without reading a word. And when you find one, you will identify it with color and move on. Okay, so by the time you get down the page, there's usually at least 5 acts of fraud on the first page alone. The judge must commit fraud by impersonating himself in a different jurisdiction. On the top of every page of every court or court document that will identify the agent/agent and principal/principal, county/county, state/state. All righty, what do we got here? On the top left corner, we have the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the County of Dauphin. Notice of a preliminary hearing results. Now, this is something that was in a municipal court that was kicked up to the district court. Now, if you see now pay attention, we have in the top left corner, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in all capitals and the County of Dauphin in all capitals. Now, on the right-hand side, we have the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in upper and lower case. That seems to be a bit strange. Okay, now we have the Honorable Paul T's, whatever his name is, that guy. He's in upper lowercase. And then the said defendant is in upper lowercase. Now, if you see down here, this is a court. These are the, what does it say here? On Tuesday, November 5th of 2024, a preliminary hearing was held in your absence. In other words, you didn't show up, huh? In conclusion, for the preliminary hearing, blah, 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 this is, in other words, they're held for court. So it's simple assault, held for court, something else, held for court, refrain, report, blah, 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 held for court, yeah. Okay. Anyway, but that really doesn't matter because that's not him. So what we have at the bottom here is Paul signing himself in his British Territorial UCMJ title. Now that is a problem, folks, especially when you have the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania up in the top left corner there. That's another problem. Alrighty, next page. So, what's going on here is Brian has identified the fraud, and normally, I think this is on another, this was some other document, but it's basically what you're doing is the same thing. You see up, this is the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in the left-hand corner there, the County of Dauphin again, back there with their all caps, and then on the other side, back to the other side there's the fraud again on the other side, the Commonwealth, even though he didn't mark it up with the marker, but that's what we just saw it on the page before. So now, what he has done is he has returned service by voiding it and saying void for fraud. It's impersonating two different jurisdictions, signs it and dates it. Okay? Well, what that does is now it satisfies and rebuts the claim against him. This preliminary notice of hearing results is now void. Next one, same thing, the notice of formal arraignment. Well, the same thing, that's void for fraud for impersonating two different jurisdictions. There you go. Same thing. Why? What do we have up here? Look what we got on the notice of formal arraignment there. We have the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Ooh, look at that. What do we have there? And then they're impersonating from that one to the other one. So, okay, we can move on. All righty. Now, this is the letter that Brian wrote to Paul, and this is actually his second letter. And as you can see, it says, I might have to get it up on because I can't see. It's fine, I can do it. Okay, it says, Paul, you and your court, and he spells out court as in UCMJ or court UCC, are again attempting to revenue a use of fraud derivative that you are not authorized to use. I own copyright and trademark to Brian L. Faust and Brian L. Faust. This is fraud, theft, and criminal. You have added a third count of mail fraud and judicial misconduct for failing to record my return service in violation of due process. I know this one's a little bit modified, but because this was a second letter. Enclosed is a certificate of assumed names, mandatory notice of liability, deed of reconveyance, my fee schedule, and a copy of the CC'd return service delivered to your court or court by tracking number via U.S. Postal Service. If you or your court or court wish to decline contract with both my vessels, I require a notice of withdrawal of charges. Notice the agent is notice the principal, notice the principal, notice the agents. Brian Lee Faust, December 5th, 2024, all rights reserved without prejudice, CC'd, and so on. And on the right next there is his case status after being served, all that good stuff.
Excuse me, Eugene, do you want to let them know why it's important to put the CC on there?
Oh, yes. Well, the CC is all about having to protect your private evidence. CC, you have to basically let the parties know that there are multiple copies of these out there. And this basically protects you in case, more than likely, the case disappears. And then there'll be your word against their word. No, hold on, I got this, and I got this, and so on.
And they should send a copy to themselves also,
yes,
correct?
Absolutely. Well, that's where there says, you see in the very bottom, Brian Lee Faust has his own CC, which means he sent himself his own copy, and he keeps that copy sealed. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All righty. So moving on, we have everybody is familiar with what's going on in Arkansas with Cheryl, who has been kidnapped for a while now. But I actually took a look at her case, and we're actually doing something with it as we speak. But I'm going to point out to everybody what's going on and how this all came about. Now, Cheryl has a couple of major incidents, and what we did was we pulled her latest case, and basically she had 3 felonies on the docket. So we basically went to the the dockets by which they were holding her. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take what the Garland County of Arkansas has to say about all this, and then we're going to take it apart. So what do we got here? In the Circuit Court of Garland County, Arkansas, in the state of Arkansas versus Cheryl Jean Corvell. In case number, plaintiff defendant. Information, blah, 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 aggravated cruelty of a dog, cat. Yeah. Okay. So, what do we have on the right side? Well, we have Garland County Circuit Court. Okay. And we have Jeannie Pike, the Garland County Circuit Court clerk. Well, Jeannie is the British territorial officer there in the British territorial jurisdiction. Now, we're going to mark that off in yellow. And what do we got down here? The Circuit Court of Garland County in all caps. Let's mark that off. Arkansas, let's mark that off. State of Arkansas, let's mark that off. Sherelle, let's mark that off. Mark that off, and everything. What do we got down here? Michelle C. Lawrence, mark that off. State of Arkansas, we'll mark that off. Garland County, we'll mark that off. Okay. That's like, I don't know, not even half the page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 acts of fraud. Right there. Okay? 8 acts of fraud. So all you do is, now that's been identified, now you just return service. It's void for fraud. That claim that you see in front of you is absolutely null and void. Okay. What do we have here? We have, in the United States District Court, the Western District of Arkansas, Hot Springs Division. And it says, Cheryl Jean Corvell, in all caps, the petitioner, in all caps, Mike McCormick, in all caps, the respondent, in all caps. But my, what do we have here? Sheriff of Garland County, Arkansas. Claiming another jurisdiction. That's interesting. Now, let's move down the page here. Cheryl Jean Corvell, a British territorial U.S. citizen, filed a petition for a writ of habeas corpus on June 27th. Blah, blah, blah. The following day, does that say court?
Court.
Can't see it. I'm sorry. Hold on. The court.
Ordered Corvell.
Yeah, ordered Corvell an amended petition under the 28 U.S.C. for a writ of habeas corpus. Okay. And then September 26th, Sheriff Mike McCormick, the respondent. Well, you have respondent here and respondent there. You have Sheriff Mike up here in his all caps and Sheriff Mike down there in his upper lowercase. So that's fraud. That's fraud. Next, down we got the court committing fraud again, and then denied. That's just BS. Next thing down there, it says the state of Arkansas. Okay, Corvell, back to the British territorial. British territorial, that is all British territorial. Okay. So we got British territorial and the UCMJ all on the same page in a federal court case. That is not good, folks. That is not good. And especially if somebody comes back and writes all red on that and says void for fraud because somebody's impersonating two jurisdictions. Okay. Moving right along. Two jurisdictions. My. Uniform Code of Military Justice for the territorial, British territorial U.S. citizen. And the UCC for the Uniform Commercial Code, the municipal citizen of the United States. Anything in all caps is the Roman municipal citizen of the United States, UCC. Anything identified in the upper lower is the British territorial U.S. citizen. Okay. So you see here, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, identifying themselves in all caps. So you mark it off. You mark it off. This in yellow, this in blue. Once you have a cross in jurisdictions, it is all over. Then automatically it is void for fraud, because once you cross jurisdictions, it's not only fraud, it's treason. Okay. They up it again. Top left corner, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, County of Montgomery, summary trial notice, UCMJ, UCC. What happens? It's return service, void for fraud. Because, again, the cross in jurisdiction. All right. Every court or court document must have it signed by a judge. And every judge must sign as a British territorial officer. So what's the point of shut up and don't read? Shut up. Why? Void for fraud and so on means the judge cannot commit multiple felonies to bring any claim against you or your vessel. Shut up. The claim is not valid, nor does it have standing. Shut up. The claim is rebutted. Shut up. This has nothing to do with the claim against the usufruct derivative, or what you think is you. Shut up. This has nothing to do with political status, but we will take this opportunity to enter into the public record our certificate of assumed names, our deed of reconveyance, our mandatory notice of liability, our fee schedule, our notice of trespass, contract, and remedy. They can decline from the contract with a notice of withdrawal or a notice of settlement withdrawal. Which one? So shut up. I seriously doubt they will rebut any of this, but they have been known to push back, which is easily remedied with a second notice, either in person or at the courthouse or by mail. If the court or court has another claim that is valid, please present it. This also opens the door to a valid claim that can be brought before the JAG for treason. We're going into Cohen versus Virginia. Okay. Go to supremejurista.com and /case/federal/US 49/200. Hashtag opinions. The United States v. Will 449 US .200 1980 in parentheses footnote 19. In another unrelated context, Chief Justice Marshall exposition in Cohen versus Virginia 6 Wheat 2641821 in parentheses could well have been the explanation of the rule of necessity. He wrote that a court must take jurisdiction if it should. The judiciary cannot, as the legislature may, avoid a measure because it approaches the confines of the Constitution. We cannot pass it by because it's doubtful. With whatever doubt, with whatever difficulties, a case may be attended. We must decide if it is brought before us. We have no more right to decline the exercise of jurisdiction which is given than to usurp that which is not given. The one or the other would be treason to the Constitution. Questions may occur which we would gladly avoid, but we cannot avoid them. ID AT 404, emphasis added in parentheses. Whenever a judge acts where she does not have jurisdiction to act, the judge is engaged in an act or acts of treason. U.S. v. Will 449 U.S. 200-216-101 ST CT 47166 LD ED 2D 392-406-1980 in parentheses. Any judge or attorney who does not report the above judge for treason as required by law may themselves be guilty of misprision of treason. 18 USC section 2382, misprision of treason. There's a lot of information here that needs to be comprehended, but the important thing to be gleaned. This has nothing to do with proactive. It's about being reactive in a thought-out, observant, and logical manner. You cannot have a game of any sort if the referee cheats. Now you can prove it. They cannot make any valid claims by operation of law. So shut up. There's no fear of something that can't open its mouth to even speak. Now, the usufruct derivative. Usufruct derivative is the vehicle which is to facilitate the theft of the credit from the fictitious defendant or defendant. It's undeniable proof of theft, impersonation, and fraud. Note, usufruct in Latin is for use the fruits. So imagine an apple tree that you come across and it's full of apples. You can use the fruits, but you cannot chop down the tree. You did not create the usufruct. You did not plant the apple tree or the apple tree. The court or court is supposed to hold the living harmless in their little charade, but they do not. You claim copyright and trademark on the vessel that was impersonating you. You moved it to a superior concurrent general jurisdiction of the land and soil. You no longer have to be afraid of their court or court. They have to be afraid of you. The mandatory notice.
John, note.
Okay, please mute if you're not speaking.
I cut the little book off, didn't I? Well, up there.
Go ahead.
Mandatory Notice and Foreign Sovereigns Immunity Act. And this is to protect them. All righty. The Mandatory Notice, Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act, Section 1605 and 1607, Notice of Liability, 18 U.S.C. 2333, 18 U.S.C. 1341, and 1342. This mandatory notice is provided to all territorial U.S. United States district and state court, county courts, their officers, clerks, bailiffs, sheriffs, deputies, and all employees, and all municipal appointees, including their district, state, and county courts, their officers, and employees. The vessels doing business as John Mark Doe, full birth name in upper lowercase, and not limited to John M. Doe, John Doe, Doe, John Mark Doe, full birth name in all caps, John M. Doe, John Doe, Doe, John Mark, all together with all derivatives and permutations, punctuations, and orderings of these names are not acting in any federal, territorial, or municipal capacity and have not knowingly or willingly acted in such capacity since the day of their nativity, Monday, month, day, birth year, and your birthday. All vessels are duly claimed by the holder in due course and held under published common law copyright since month, day, birth year, and your birthday. These vessels are publishing mandatory notice that they are foreign sovereigns with the birth date again, spelled out, such as Ohio, member state of the United States of America. This is your mandatory notice that these above named vessels are owned all material rights, duties, exceptions, insurances, treaties, bonds, agreements, and guarantees, including indemnity and full faith and credit. You are also hereby provided with mandatory notice that these vessels are not subject to territorial or municipal United States law and are owed the law of peace, Department Army pamphlet 27161-1. All right, folks, right there. That's your UCMJ. For all territorial and municipal officers and employees who otherwise have no permission to approach or address them, any harm resulting from trespass upon these vessels or the use of fictitious names or titles related to them shall be subject to full commercial liabilities and penalties. 18 U.S.C. 233, 18 U.S.C. 1341, and 1342. So said, signed, and sealed on this day, January 25, Notary, and Pennsylvania, United States of America. All righty. Wow, what do we got on the side there? We have something called the Residency Act, or the Residence, right? And you have the Foreign Sovereign Immunity Act. Well, that mandatory notice is for foreign sovereigns or sovereigns. And residents are for people with constitutions. Okay, so that makes it pretty clear. Okay. Now, this AO430. I sent an AO430, send a blank copy of the AO430 to ask to identify the said defendant or defendant and require a forensic audit of the claim. So remember, you are in a contract, okay? This is where they steal from your usufruct and you're basically using it to mock them. So Article 1957, plaintiffs are debtors, defendants are creditors. This is the PDF from the Corporate Tribunal Administrative Office, is evidentiary proof that plaintiffs, including the government, and all these municipal court cases are debtors, and the defendants are all, in all cases, are the creditors. And it is admitted right there in black and white. So now we have the proof in their own hands what we have told you about them. That they are persecuting their own creditors is true, and they are persecuting their own creditors to extract more assets and credits from the creditors against the creditor's will. So if you see on the right-hand side there, both the defendants are already predetermined as a creditor and a debtor. The plaintiff is predetermined as a creditor and a debtor. And if you see very closely in the center there, you see the other defendant and not the all-capital defendant. So there's the other defendant, and the other upper lowercase plaintiff is over there in that second box or second set of things. And then the plaintiff debtor underneath, and so on. Okay, so it's pretty clear who's who over here, and it's pretty interesting that all this is all predetermined. Alrighty. So, you must rebut a claim or claim. You have to include this in your return service. The claim or claim against you. Highlight it with the UCMJ or the UCC with the return service void for fraud. Then, 2, the Joe Blow Clown cover letter, which is CC'd to list the judge so the judge sees them. 3, list the certificate of assumed names, the mandatory notice of liability, the deed of reconveyance, and the fee schedule. Okay.
That's it. Do you have...
We're going to address to the mail, or we're going to address and mail to the judge who's making the claim against you. You're going to CC. That's all, and just priority tracking, and just make sure you just keep everything, you track everything that you're sending to them, and just make your claims and wait for them to rebut.